Does the door to Skull and Bones open only to the chosen? Where you cannot see, power does not change hands through ballots, it is passed on through oaths. In 1947, the Central Intelligence Agency, the CIA, was officially founded. Its very first director, a Yale-educated elite named Allen Dulles. His brother, John Foster Dulles, served as the U.S. Secretary of State. Their rise to the apex of global power was no accident. They shared one hidden identity, members of Skull and Bones Order 322. Deep within a Gothic building on the campus of Yale University lies a secret society shrouded in ritual and silence. This building has no windows. Its fortress-like walls hide it from the world. Its name is chilling, the Tomb. Here, each year, only 15 students are chosen. They are called the Bonesmen. From that moment forward, they are no longer ordinary students. They become heirs to an arcane tradition, a tradition bound to death, loyalty, control, and awakening. Some say it is a club for the sons of the wealthy, others call it America's true incubator of power, but within deeper occult circles, it is seen as an initiatory gate to the dark web of consciousness. The question is, can a student society truly shape the nerve center of global politics? You may not know this. 2 U.S. presidents, George W. Bush and his father, are both Bonesmen. Multiple Supreme Court justices, national security advisors, CIA directors, and Wall Street titans have walked through its gates. In the 2004 U.S. presidential election, both John Kerry and George W. Bush, rivals on the surface, were Bonesmen. Was this coincidence? Or was it a script written on a hidden layer of reality? In this episode, we'll explore the mysterious origins and ritual symbols of Skull and Bones. Its hidden bloodline ties to Freemasonry, the Rosicrucians, and the Illuminati. The veiled meaning of the number 322 and its connection to death symbolism. Why death is ritualistically simulated and replayed in their initiations. And most importantly, how all of this shapes your understanding of a free society. Skull and Bones is not the title of a story. It is a hidden passage into the real world behind the veil. Now let us together step through the door that opens for only a select few and listen closely to the oaths whispered only within the tomb. In this section, we delve into the historical and philosophical background to ask, was the script of power written at a university? In 1832, something strange stirred the air at Yale University. That year, a student named William Huntington Russell returned from Germany carrying what he claimed to be a blueprint of European secret societies. Together with his classmate Alphonso Taft, future Secretary of War and father of President William Howard Taft, they founded a new organization. It wasn't called a fraternity, it wasn't called a club. It had only one name, Skull and Bones, number 322. They declared, "We do not choose members, we choose the future." The origin mystery: Germany's shadow, the symbol of death. It is said that during his time in Germany, Russell encountered remnants of the Illuminati, or perhaps an even older Masonic branch rooted in death mysticism, a belief system that seeks the rebirth of consciousness through simulated death rituals. The number 322 is widely believed to reference the year 322 BCE, the death of Demosthenes, the last great voice of Athenian democracy. His passing symbolized the end of freedom, and for the Bonesmen it marked the beginning of a new order. They adopted the skull as their emblem, symbolizing the transience of flesh and the immortality of spirit. They met in a fortress-like windowless building called the Tomb, where the soul's symbolic rebirth through death could be reenacted. Their motto was, "Who was the fool? Who the wise man, beggar or king? Whether poor or rich, all's the same in death." For Skull and Bones, death was not an end, it was a beginning, a filtering point, a reset of identity, status, ego, leaving only conscious awareness behind. Ritual and symbolism, from jokes to inner reconstruction. Outsiders often reduce their initiation rituals to bizarre gossip, lying in coffins, confessing sexual experiences, being humiliated while watched, swearing oaths to the dead. But what if these aren't just antics, but instead symbolic alchemy? What if it's a deep psychological reconstruction experiment? These rites mirror patterns seen in many esoteric traditions: symbolic death, dissolution of the ego, exposure under group gaze, dissolution of role identity, oaths of loyalty, creation of an alternate identity structure, silence and obedience, rewriting of mental frameworks. Such a structure closely echoes Masonic and alchemical rites of inner rebirth from the Middle Ages. In other words, Skull and Bones doesn't just create a network of people, it manufactures a type of consciousness. Elite selection mechanism, brotherhood, or power rehearsal. The selection into Skull and Bones is exceptionally strict. Each year, only 15 Yale juniors are tapped, typically from among political dynasties like the Bush family. High IQ student leaders, for example, debate team captains, descendants of elites in media, finance, and intelligence, selected minority representatives to control representation. These 15 undergo a year of covert training, exposed to symbolic codes, thought frameworks, hidden resources, and secret networks. After graduation, they disperse into government, finance, intelligence, media, the military. On the surface, they appear unrelated, but beneath it all, they are interwoven by a shared operating system. This is not a conspiracy, it's a form of cultural heredity, running like code, silently embedded in the minds of the chosen. In the next section, we'll uncover the specific mechanisms behind this network. How do Skull and Bones members shape the U.S. power structure? What symbolic bonds tie them across decades and generations? And are the seemingly random turns of history already part of a script? The true tomb is not made of stone, it is our ignorance of how power truly works. Core Analysis, Part 1, Constructing Power, Not Possessing It. True power is not in sitting on the throne, it's in deciding who gets to sit on it. Anonymous Bonesman, privately quoted. Skull and Bones never claims to rule the world. They don't rig elections, pass laws, or publicly shape policy. They merely put people in. But into what? Into the center of the pyramid of power. From campus society to power incubator, the invisible filter of consciousness. Each year, 15 hand-picked Yale juniors are silently funneled into America's most influential institutions: CIA and NSA intelligence systems, the State Department and Department of Defense, the Supreme Court and the Federal Judiciary, the Federal Reserve, World Bank, J.P. Morgan, and more. Media giants like the New York Times, Wall Street Journal, and Time. At first, they are merely interns, assistants, analysts. A few years later, they're department heads, chiefs of staff. Soon after, they become presidential advisors, Supreme Court justices, even presidents. To the public, it looks like a triumph of merit, hard work, and luck, but within Skull and Bones, a quiet maxim circulates. Merit is the narrative, brotherhood is the path, talent is what outsiders are told, brotherhood is the real ticket. The skull and crossbones symbol may seem to outsiders like a warning of death, but within the order it means something far more complex: loyalty beyond death, the renunciation of old identities and rebirth under the order, structural transference, bones as frameworks now serving a higher collective, depersonalized power. What matters isn't who you are, but whether you serve the skeletal system. This mirrors Masonic philosophy. In the lodge, you are not the sculptor, you are the stone being shaped. Eventually you are fitted invisibly into a larger pyramid of consciousness. According to Whispers, the initiation includes lying inside a coffin, staring up at a circle of robed brothers, confessing your deepest personal shame, and hearing an elder say, "Your old self is dead. From now on, you belong to the bones." This is not humiliation, it is ritual ego death. It is a symbolic rewiring of the inner map. Your loyalties no longer lie with religion, family, or nation. They lie with this invisible tomb. You are not trained to rule others. You are trained to become a functioning unit of power itself, forever faithful. The self-updating algorithm of influence. Unlike other elite clubs, Skull and Bones doesn't aim for expansion, it seeks structural continuity. Think of it as an algorithm. Each year's 15 initiates become new bricks in the pyramid. Every alumnus remains active in the network. Once a year, at the tomb return, all gather to update the structure. It is here, within cloistered stone walls, that connections are refreshed, strategies whispered, and influence mapped. These are not conspiratorial meetings, they are cross-generational inputs to standardize consciousness. You think the nation is changing presidents. In reality, they're just rotating executors of the same source code. This is the true role of Skull and Bones. Not to control the world, but to control who gets the license to control it. Oh, a revealing case, the 2004 presidential election. In 2004, two candidates faced off for the presidency of the United States, George W. Bush and John Kerry, both Yale graduates, both members of Skull and Bones. When asked by the media about this uncanny coincidence, both gave the same half smile and said, "We can't talk about that. It's a secret. Let that sink in." The symbolic election of the free world was between two men from the same underground society. The press didn't investigate, the public didn't question. The whole system functioned like a theater. The audience sat in darkness, believing they held the power of choice. But Skull and Bones doesn't need you to believe in them. They only need you to keep believing that the stage is real. You think they're studying politics, but what they're really learning is how to shape the politics you think you understand. Skull and Bones has never officially declared a philosophical or religious stance, yet its symbolic system and ritual structure echo multiple ancient esoteric traditions. This is not mere imitation, it is symbolic inheritance, a kind of consciousness programming language silently shared across secret lineages. Masonic echoes the skeletal connection. Freemasonry teaches the philosophy of the stone. Each person is an unfinished stone, to be carved into part of a sacred temple by the hammer of wisdom. Skull and Bones goes further. It doesn't sculpt. It buries and resurrects. In Masonry, you are shaped. In Skull and Bones, you are reset, yet they share uncanny parallels. Ritual death, Masonic third degree, and Bones coffin initiation. Oath brotherhood, Masonic oaths and Bonesman vows. Spatial symbolism, temples and tombs modeled on cosmic architecture. Traditions of silence, break the code and face spiritual death. Some researchers suggest early Bones rituals included elements like starlight geometry, corridors of 7 doors, prayers to the Lord of Light, elements likely drawn from a blend of Scottish Rite Freemasonry, 32nd degree, and Hermetic orders. In this light, Skull and Bones appears as an advanced branch of alchemical consciousness work, a distilled system that abandons broad symbolism and retains only the core rites. Much like extracting a core algorithm from a massive software suite designed for high-efficiency psychological processing. The hidden geometry of 322. The number 322 has never been officially explained. But within symbolic systems, it may encode several meanings. 3. Trinity, body, soul, spirit. 22. The key of the universe in occultism. The number of major arcana in tarot, 322, may imply pyramidal ratios or the tripartite symmetry in Hermetic lore. Some scholars suggest it refers to the mythic formula consciousness reborn through death. If Freemasonry guards the secrets of construction, then Skull and Bones may be guarding a deeper mystery, the keys to deconstructing consciousness itself. The tomb, their headquarters, resembles a neoclassical temple with no windows. Its interior is said to be disorienting by design, filled with compressed spaces, distorted echoes, and spatial folds, all meant to simulate the subjective collapse of consciousness. Inside, one finds human skulls and bones, allegedly including the skull of Native American Chief Geronimo, triangular altar cloths, red, white, black drapes, a reversed hall of mirrors with ancient Latin engraved on the ceiling, and at the altar's heart, one chilling inscription, "Time ends here." These aren't decorations, they are ritual architecture. In esoteric practice, space is the ceremony. Place someone in a specific geometric container and their heartbeat, perception, and mind begin to reformat. Skull and Bones knows this. They don't need you to believe. They only need you to enter the space. We can think of Skull and Bones as a social operating system for consciousness, ritual and symbol input, disassembly of prior beliefs, spatial recomposition, installation of a new system kernel, silence protocols, background processes hidden from view, networked brotherhood, distributed, coordinated influence. And what's the end result? You learn to value loyalty above truth. You prioritize structure over humanity. You speak in half-truths, mask intent, and manage narrative control. You begin to see the world as programmable, and you either become part of the script or you are the one who executes it. This is why bonesmen, once in positions of power, rarely question the structure of power itself, because they were initiated at the source, where the structure was not only revealed, but made sacred. You might assume that a 19th century college fraternity was nothing more than a playground for privileged students. But what you may not know is this: Skull and Bones is still very much alive, and its skeletal framework has quietly become the invisible scaffolding of American power. It all begins with the Rule of 15. Since 1832, Skull and Bones has never faltered. Each spring, 15 Yale juniors are tapped, hand-picked through a hyper-secretive process. And where do they go? Most funnel into one of 5 critical domains: national security, CIA, NSA, FBI, Wall Street's Titans, JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs, Blackstone, high government offices, White House chiefs, secretaries of state and treasury, judicial power, Supreme Court, federal appellate courts, media and opinion control, New York Times, Time, NBC. They are quietly placed at key leverage points across the system, operating independently yet bound by a shared truth. Once a bonesman, always a bonesman. Once you enter the tomb, your life belongs to the structure. As we wrap up, it's important to understand that what Skull and Bones guards isn't just power. It's the right to define reality itself. They shape the narrative, the very framework through which we perceive the world around us. Their influence isn't just about who holds office or who runs the corporations. It's about shaping the very essence of our choices, our beliefs, and our understanding of what is possible. They guard the boundaries of reality, ensuring that their legacy and influence remain unchallenged and omnipresent. Famous members, where presidents, judges, spy masters, and billionaires begin. Here are just a few names from the publicly known list. Only the tip of the iceberg: George H.W. Bush, 41st U.S. President and former CIA Director. George W. Bush, 43rd President and Commander-in-Chief during 9/11s. John Kerry, former Secretary of State and 2004 presidential candidate, Bonesman versus Bonesman. William F. Buckley, Jr., founding father of American conservatism and creator of National Review. A. Whitney Griswold, former president of Yale University. Stephen A. Schwartzman, founder of Blackstone Group, global billionaire and capital kingmaker. Their political beliefs may vary, their industries may diverge, but their locations on the power axis always converge. The invisible silent network embedded in reality. Skull and Bones never make statements, they don't lobby, they don't register as any formal entity. Their influence doesn't shape laws, it shapes the compass, it shapes who speaks and how stories are framed. For example, at least 4 National Security Council members have confirmed Bones affiliations. Senior roles at elite think tanks like the Brookings Institution and Council on Foreign Relations trace back to the tomb. Private salon meetings that precede critical legislation often include Bones-born advisors. After the 2008 financial crisis, the CEOs of key bailout banks were linked to the Bones lineage. They don't tell you how to live, they shape what you think your choices are. In other words, they don't control you. They design the rooms you'll wander into. The modern tomb, an undying structure for an undying consciousness. Today, the tomb still stands quietly on Yale's campus. No sign, no windows, permanently closed to outsiders. The only public hint of life comes once a year, Tap Day, when echoes of applause and ceremonial horns drift into the spring air. They don't need to expand, they don't advertise. They don't care whether you know they exist, because their strength is not in numbers. It is in the integrity of the structure that formats thought. And this structure is still operating, still updating, still choosing every spring the next young initiate who will walk the path of power. Now that you've heard the story, you might be thinking, it's just some secret club hidden inside an elite university. What does that have to do with me? But here's the truth. The structures you live within, the tempo of media, the language of education, the scripts of finance, the public narratives, many were once touched, shaped, or templated by them, not through overt control, but through offering the blueprint. You may never have stepped into the tomb at Yale, but every day you live inside its extended architecture. Like a windowless building constructed quietly in your mind, it defines the acceptable model of the world. The freedom you perceive may be a curated set of options. The success you pursue might just be a task written into someone else's script. And the system you trust could very well be a ritual performance, long rehearsed. The true secret of Skull and Bones is not how much power it holds, but how deeply it understands how to construct reality. In a world ruled by symbols, the most potent force is not weapons, laws, or even wealth, but the ability to reshape how humans see the world. They don't need kings. They cultivate architects of narrative, evangelists of structure, designers of perception, because they understand if you control the structure, you don't need to control the people. And now the question is, are you willing to become someone who sees the structure? Are you ready to begin noticing which thoughts were never truly your own, which rules are just props on a stage, and which identities are merely tickets to someone else's tomb? Maybe the deepest secret Skull and Bones ever offered wasn't about submission, but a hidden challenge. Can you choose to be yourself, even after you've seen the structure? Call to action. If this video spoke to you, please like, subscribe, and ring the bell to help us keep creating more deep dives into secret societies, symbolic philosophies, and awakened consciousness. Let's talk in the comments. Have you ever glimpsed the architecture behind the world you thought was spontaneous? Do you see Skull and Bones as a tool of oppression or a conscious redesign of identity? If you stood in their place, would you guard the secret or reveal it? We're not just telling stories, we're inviting you to redefine what it means to truly see. Next episode preview, we journey deeper into the true mission of the Knights Templar. Did they really uncover secrets powerful enough to disrupt the world order? Do their symbols still breathe within today's hidden societies?